for your support.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas offers an affordable 2-year associate degree with a seamless path to a bachelor's. Located in downtown Minneapolis, students receive free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaching, tutoring, a Metro Transit pass, mentorship, and paid internships, all at Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College. Your journey to success starts here.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
There's a powerful story being shared at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Unchi Said So, a solo exhibition by Danielle Seawalker, brings forward Native stories shaped by collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold color and portraiture, this work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture while reflecting the idea that sovereignty begins at home. On view now through June 6th. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies tonight with a low around 30. Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 44. And Sunday, sunny with a high around 51. Unleash your cravings at Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Dive into a world of flavor with their signature Philly steak, tantalizing turkey bacon avocado, and an array of mouth-watering options like crispy chicken and fish. Pair it perfectly with freshly fried fries or golden onion rings. Unforgettable sandwiches. That's Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville.
They are going to become more.
Good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up. They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in Florida. We get talking with our friend, State Senator Mary Kunesh. I just want to give a quick shout out to
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we have State Senator Mary Kunesh on today, along with our friend Bob Blake from Red Lake, with Solar Bear with the solar news and sports. Before we get talking with our friend State Senator Mary Kunesh, I just want to give a quick shout out to Wendy, who's almost in Wisconsin now and going to be doing the good work of getting those beagles out there with 2,000 other people. Power to you. And again, Big Peanigee, thank you so much for all the people that donated. And really helped support her and her endeavors out there, freeing the beagles. And again, a big peeny and if you still want to donate some money, it's at Venmo, Wendy Pilot. And so again, big peeny. Hey, State Senator, thanks for coming on as always and giving us updates. Sometimes great updates, sometimes not so great. And we have some things happening federal here that are really going to affect us. Thank you again for being on.
Sure. Hamatakiape, everybody. Yeah, it's I just think it's so marvelous what Wendy is doing and going out there to rescue those dogs. I told you before, I did dog foster care for about 5 years until I got too busy at the legislature and couldn't do it. And it's just such a sad situation. In very many ways. And thank you to all the people that foster these dogs and get them back on their feet. I mean, literally, sometimes you are getting them back on their feet. I had a couple of really goofy dogs that, had been crated probably most of their life. Didn't know how. I had a dog that didn't know how to back up or would get stuck in reverse. Didn't know how to go around a chair, so it would crawl under the chair, and these are beautiful creatures, and every one of them turned out to be absolutely lovely animals and went to really good homes. And so thank you to Wendy and all the people that donated, and then those that are helping Wendy rescue those dogs.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone's heard our story over the years with our rescue dogs and our, Gracie and, Wanda too, and Emma. Gracie never knew what leaves were and, just things like that and going for a walk. And we were lucky to have her for 7 years and giving her the best life we can.
Yep, that's what we do.
Yeah. Well, we have like a darkness happening over the state of Minnesota again with our great boundary waters, and we have Stauber up there starting laws, and 50-49 federally voted on this and ready for the orange one's signature.
Yeah, that yesterday was a heartbreaking day, and thank you again to Senator Tina
Smith.
Thank you, Tina Smith, for being such a champion around all of this. She held the floor for hours talking about it, and other people came in to support it. Of course, Amy Klobuchar did as well. But what we're talking about is that the Senate and the House now have lifted the restrictions on the Boundary Water Canoe Area wilderness, and that's 150 miles on the lake, in the Lake Superior National Forest, and it goes along the border with Canada. And this is an area, if people have never been up there, it is the most pristine, beautiful lake forest. I mean, the forests, you'll find pine and spruce and birch, and the waters are just gorgeous. And of course, thousands of people who are respectful go up there to paddle and portage off some of the most beautiful traveled waterways. And it's just unbelievably beautiful. And right now, Biden made it a safety spot. So logging is prohibited. Planes over it can't dip any lower than 4,000 feet. There's tens of thousands of canoeists and kayakers and campers that explore it. And, why would we want to put it into a vulnerable situation where we would have toxic mining? It's just really, really sad that that Twin Metals, which is a subsidiary of the Chile-based Antofagasta minerals. They want to go in there and just basically harvest copper, nickel, and other metals in that area. And this is one of the most toxic kind of ways of mining. And so we are very much against it here in Minnesota. 70% of Minnesotans say they do not want this to happen. Right. And so, as I said, it was a sad day. We had, there were a couple press conferences, the Native American Caucus. So my 3 House members joined me and a number of other activists, environmentalists that are, pushing back. And we do have, I want to just say that all is not lost, because we do have legislation out there that says prove it first. Before you can even begin to do anything, you have to prove that there is a mine that is similar to what you want to do here in the United States, that was done, that there were no damages done, that it was done in an environmentally friendly way, a safe way, because we don't believe that it is safe at all. And then, so that's the prove it first bill. There's another bill where they would have to put a really, really hefty, kind of like a damage deposit down, so that they can't just up and leave the mess for us to take care of. So there are other things that can be done. We just haven't, we have to continue to work on those things, and we're dedicated to it.
It's fun talking to you on Fridays, because you're on Gaga duty, and it's always fun to see how much they've grown, because you've been on the show for 10 years and they've been on the show their whole life.
Yes, their whole lives. Their whole lives. And I was very prompted, because it is for my cough. It is I wanted to remind you that wolves are the first dogs.
Yes.
For real last week. Yeah. They have their wisdom, their little wisdom. And you girls are what? What are you? Oh, she's being shy. These girls are water protectors, and they recognize themselves as that. There's that beautiful book, Water Protectors.
Yes.
It's their favorite book. They sit and they read it out loud to each other all the time. And I'm just really proud that these girls know what our priorities are. But so back to the boundary waters, really serious concerns in this day and age when there's so much at stake. We can't let it go.
Yeah, let's stay on top of it. And the great thing about having you on is that you are on top of it and giving our listeners and viewers updates. So, hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh and her granddaughter, and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio.
After 20 years of service, the Metro Blue Line is ready for essential improvements. A multi-year transformation is underway, bringing a better, smoother Blue Line experience. Renew the Blue will preserve and protect a critical piece of our infrastructure investment, helping it remain a safe, reliable, and affordable transit option for many years to come. Learn more about Renew the Blue at metrotransit.org/renew-the-blue.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas offers an affordable 2-year associate degree with a seamless path to a bachelor's. Located in downtown Minneapolis, students receive free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaching, tutoring, a Metro Transit pass, mentorship, and paid internships, all at Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College. Your journey to success starts here.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and we are with our friend, State Senator Mary Kunesh, and talking about what's going on statewide. And also, we'd love to hear what's going on Capitol-wise. Thank you so much, as always, for coming on.
You bet. You bet. So we are almost like Monday starts our last 4 weeks of session. So in a month, we will be done with this session. And it has been, every session is just, I don't know, so unique and so different. It's never like you just go in, you do the good work, we all agree, and then we all vote together and we head home until the next time we get together. But because this has been a session where the House is still in a tie, there's been a lot of difficulty to get consensus on a lot of the bills. In the Senate, we've been working really hard to build that consensus because we have only a one-person majority. And therefore, we have to, if there's one person on our team that can't or doesn't feel comfortable voting for a bill, we have to make sure that everybody's in agreement. And so we've worked really hard on that. This past Friday, today is Friday, but yesterday I voted my education finance bill out of our committee. And it's a very modest bill that just really has what we call compensatory aid, and that those dollars are the dollars that are allocated to schools per pupil for some of the special needs that our kids need. So, for example, if they are EL or if they have a disability, if they need help with in other learning ways, we allocate additional dollars, and that has kind of gotten out of control. And I want to say it not in a bad, it's not a bad thing. I think we're just able to identify some of the issues, the learning issues earlier these days because we put money into early screening. And so we're addressing those issues earlier than later. And so, with the hope that by doing that, we will be able to address those issues so that in the future, when they get older, we don't have to continue, they get over whatever the issue is. So that was a big one. And then safety aid for our schools, with the killings at Ascension, the two little students that were killed, the schools are asking for more safety dollars to address the needs, and kind of incorporated in all of that are some of the mental health issues. So the need for counselors, social workers, things like that. And then we know that with the ICE surge, we really had some major setbacks from mental health issues in communities. And so we are hoping to get more money into the schools to do that. We passed that my bill out of our committee with anonymous votes, which is really good, but it's a very this bill. It's a non-budget year, so this is a supplemental budget. And then we're still working on that constitutional amendment to be able to access those dollars from the school trust lands, the school trust fund, and bring those dollars into our schools. And we have to do that through a constitutional amendment. And we'll talk more about that because there's going to be need to do a lot of education around that if it gets on the ballot in November.
Well, anybody watching us online, I'm just like mesmerized with your granddaughter. She really loves you. She's just hunkering down with you there and listening to you intently. And we should maybe change the name of this segment to Lieutenant or State Senator with her grandchildren, because it's just precious.
You know, and I say this a lot. I'm like, the work that we're doing now is these kids' future, you know, and I want to make sure that we're able to leave them, you know, when I leave this world, I want to leave it in a better way. And that means that we're taking care of environmental issues like the boundary waters. We're investing in education in a futuristic sort of way, and providing the resources that we all need to survive and thrive here in Minnesota. So I always, you know, sometimes I don't agree with, GOP members when they bring forward issues that I don't agree with or I don't think are the best way. And sometimes they say things that really rub me the wrong way. And it makes me kind of, you know, you can imagine sometimes like when they do come to me with a good bill and I want to just say, you've been, you know, kind of a jerk. Why would I carry your bill? And then I have to bring it right down to the fact that this is for the kids. It's not for me. It's not for the, you know, that member, but it's for the kids. And sometimes you have to rise above the ugliness and see what's at stake here. And these are the kiddos that are most at stake. So we'll do the work.
Little water protector. I love it.
Yeah.
Geez. So not to get too far ahead, but what does this next week, 4 weeks look like? And I know you being a part-time employee with a full-time job, you jump in and check out education and the farms and all that when you're not in session. So this is just the beginning.
Yeah, so the next 4 weeks, we will continue to work with the House to put together bills that we can all agree on and get those passed off of the House, off of our Senate floor and the House floor. So we'll be spending a lot of time on the floor of our prospective caucuses. And I sent you, Robert, a link in the chat. If you want to watch what's going on in the Senate, there's a link that will take you to the Senate schedule. And then if you are interested in tracking certain omnibus bills, there's a link for that too. And omnibus bills are just like one big bill that has a lot of little bills in it. This year is the first year, I think in all 10 years that I've been at the legislature, where we have been hearing single subject bills or single bills on the floor of the Senate and passing them off the Senate floor than we ever have. Usually it was like, we'll save them all for the omnibus bill and then we'll just pass it all together. But because of the uncertainty, especially coming from the House, we have been passing bills that we can all agree on off of the House floor. Then they have to go over to the House and they have to pick them up on their floor, on the House floor, and pass it. And I think we are kind of back to the way it used to be, where we did a lot of single subject bills rather than these big ones at the end. So it's as I said, it's another interesting year in the Minnesota legislature.
Yeah, and people that are watching us, I put the link up there again. And if you're listening to us on the radio, we are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. So again, check it out and check it out. I have the link up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there are lots of other issues that are going on. Here in Minnesota, we have a vital state hospital, HCMC, Hennepin County Medical Center, that is experiencing some really major financial deficits because of funding that have been withdrawn from the federal government, and then the complicated Medicaid, Medicare processes. So we're working on ways to find dollars to support the hospital. And this isn't just an urban hospital. I mean, when there are serious cases, when there's serious burns or a terrible accident and somebody has multiple injuries, life-threatening injuries, things like that, they're all airlifted down here to HCMC. And it's an important hospital because it's a teaching hospital. And if we don't have the funding to not only support our doctors and the medical teams, but we also want to make sure that we are bringing these talented medical professionals into our communities and getting them prepared in the best way possible. So that's a really big one that we have to address. Trying to think of some other things. There's a garbage burner in Hennepin County too that we're also trying to figure that out. Just a lot of other important bills that are brewing, and folks can turn on PBS during the day, and they often have us on the floor talking. Lots of stuff.
And it's streamed too on YouTube.
Yep.
I do believe. Yes. Yep. Thank you, State Senator Mary Kunesh, for coming in with the updates. And thank you for bringing your grandchildren aboard. This has just been really beautiful and
wonderful.
And again, a big Peeny, thank you so much for all you do.
You bet. Tokcha, everybody. Wopulatanka.
Oh, up next, Bob Blake from Red Lake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports. We'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Ho!
There's a powerful story being shared at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Unchi Said So, a solo exhibition by Danielle Seawalker, brings forward Native stories shaped by collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold color and portraiture, this work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture while reflecting the idea that sovereignty begins at home. On view now through June 6th. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas offers an affordable 2-year associate degree with a seamless path to a bachelor's. Located in downtown Minneapolis, students receive free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaching, tutoring, a Metro Transit pass, mentorship, and paid internships, all at Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College. Your journey to success starts here.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
After 20 years of service, the Metro Blue Line is ready for essential improvements. A multi-year transformation is underway, bringing a better, smoother Blue Line experience. Renew the Blue will preserve and protect a critical piece of our infrastructure investment, helping it remain a safe, reliable, and affordable transit option for many years to come. Learn more about Renew the Blue at metrotransit.org/renew-the-blue.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here with our friend Bob Blake from Red Lake. Always love to say that. The Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports, and we got a lot to talk about. Big Pinigigi, thank you, Bob, for always coming on and being on top of what's happening in Turtle Island with our communities and what's not happening. So again, thank you, Bob. Solar Bear with the Solar News, take it away.
Yeah, Robert. So big news this week on the Boundary Waters, and the Senate just voted 50-49 in favor of opening up the Boundary Waters, which is one of the most pristine, natural wild, habitats in the world. And of course is like, we could say Minnesota's gem, right? One of Minnesota's gems. And they are opening up, apparently the way that I understand it, the opportunity to mine there, adjacent to the Boundary Waters. Now, according to the mining companies, or the mining company, is that there is a buffer zone that is between the operations and just south of the which is basically sits adjacent to the Boundary Waters. But there's a lot of history here, Robert, because it's we know what mining does to communities. And I think what people are really concerned about and are afraid about are, is what's going to happen there. Is it going to pollute the Boundary Waters, right? And so that's really what the main, I think argument is from a lot of people, because, like I said, the mining industry has a kind of a bad track record on all this, Robert.
Yeah, Bob, I'm looking at the St. Paul paper, the Twin Cities paper, and their headline, State Republicans Approve Resolution to Lift Mining Ban near BWCA. And one of the things that always interests me is who voted for the bill. But the designer of the bill is our own Minnesota Stauber, and we need to get rid of him ASAP by any means, because it's an attack on business up there too. I mean, there's a lot of economy when it comes to that, and with the pristine water, and I'm just perplexed and really bummed out, and I'm glad you're bringing it up on your segment.
Yeah, and Tina Smith, Senator Tina Smith, gave a passionate and very, I believe, convincing education tutorial to the rest of the Senate about the Boundary Waters and why it is so important. And so kudos to Senator Smith for doing that. But like you said, Congressman Stauber is an individual who is in favor of this. But let's remind the audience, Robert, that Congress, President Trump has ordered foreign steel to be used at the
Yeah.
building, at the building of this new, I guess, wing of the White House that he tore down.
Right.
And, we have a lot of steel workers in Minnesota and around the country that, are unemployed right now. So, this is who Congressman Stauber is supporting, right? And so, let's just remind the audience that, the value system on some of these individuals is kind of warped. So, what does that say about his support of the of this situation right now happening in the Boundary Waters, right?
Yeah, well, it's reported too, Klobuchar, who has supported iron mining in the past, but now is running for Minnesota governor, called the Boundary Waters a place of mist over meadows, sunlight over leaves. And so she's changing more progressive, and that's a good sign right there.
Well, yeah, and I think, and I think what I think, and I can't speak for, Senator Klobuchar or any of what she's, advocating for. But I mean, I think what is really one of the key things here is that Minnesotans, love that space up there. They love the camp there. And I think what we're really worried about is the pollution from this mining operation. And so, how's that going to be handled? And I think that's the big thing. And the one thing I personally get stuck on, Robert, is seeing how the mining companies will do this. And I will say, I am very impressed with the technology advances they have made to keep mining cleaner, right? To do their work. But the one thing that I always get stuck on, Robert, and I've said this before, is what do you do with the wastewater? How do you take care of that? Like, what's the, you're just going to put it out in a big old pool and think that that's gonna, we've seen these pools of water before, Robert, break and go into, adjacent tributaries, water trip, you know what I mean? And that's what I think a lot of folks are really nervous about. So I think there's got to be a lot more work done by these mining companies.
Well, it's a bummer too, and now there's going to be a stopgap with the DNR in Minnesota when they're able to apply for mining. One of the things I always like to bring up, Bob, too, is Twin Metals Minnesota LLC is basically owned by a Chile based organization. So there we go again. People that probably don't care about our way of life and our clean water are really leading the way here in disruption and making dummy companies and so they can shut down companies and not take care of cleanup, as we've seen many times with oil.
Yeah, and this is a Chilean company that does own that. So that is correct, Robert. The advancements, like I said, I've seen firsthand the advancements that they've made on mining. Yes, it's impressive. And I'm glad that, mining companies are trying to clean up their act more, because we do need these precious metals, right? If we're going to have cars, cell phones, and what have you. But like I said, where I get stuck at is the wastewater, the water that we have to use to do all this work. Robert, there's been problems in the past where, these pools of water have, basically, went into other water sources. And, Robert, fresh water, we're running out of it. Okay. We're going to need this water is life, so that's really where I get stuck on it at. And, I don't know how they need to do a better job at explaining how that's going to work with the public and with the surrounding waters. And that's the boundary waters. And that's what folks are really worried about, Robert.
Right, to contaminate with mercury, sulfites, chemical compounds that can turn sulfur. The fish and wildlife and plants will suffer. In particular, we talk about this all the time. Wild rice plays a crucial role in our Native American relatives up there and all over Turtle Island.
Yep, exactly. And, there's been a lot of, advocacy around, protecting wild rice and one of the things too, Robert, that's really hurting the wild rice production or wild rice in general is climate change.
Yeah.
And so how do, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done here, Robert, on how we can protect our natural resources. And unfortunately, we have a administration right now that is constantly attacking, the environment, and why all the more reason that we need to be able to try and uphold those environmental protections while we still can. Honestly,
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is the attack out there. I believe the state of Tennessee now is making it pretty hard and impossible for students to protest now. And so taking away our First Amendment rights in a really red state. Because, one of the first things that we talk about, again, Robert, this, being on all these years, this show was started during the Standing Rock no Dakota Access Pipeline, and that protest that was very successful in many ways, and one of them was to get this show going. But the things happened around Turtle Island with the 8th fire, 7th fires being distributed across all over Turtle Island after that after that big protest.
And Robert, I always think about something you always say. And it's, start a business, start a nonprofit, run for public office. I mean, it's just those things, Robert. Like it seems so nonchalant, but it's so important. And I'm glad you say that all the time because, and me listening to your show, that's one of the reasons why I start doing what I'm doing, because I'm like, hey, this is how you create change. We have to be in these spaces. We have to be able to be talking to these corporations and trying to help them do better. You know what I mean? That takes human involvement. That takes you and me. That takes all of us to be involved and to be at those tables to help create the change and be at. And I loved what our Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan always says. Nothing about us without us. It's so true. And so, Robert, to you and what you're saying, we have to be in these spaces. We can figure this out. It doesn't have to be, everything goes to the corporations. There's enough of this to go around for everyone.
Yeah, good point. And always great to talk about the Lieutenant Governor. We're going to take a quick break, but what I'm going to do, Bob, is I'm going to say we need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, and vote. We're still here. We are the 7th generation, and we're going to take a quick break. This is Native Roots Radio, and we're with Bob Blake, the Solar Bear, with the Solar News and Sports.
After 20 years of service, the Metro Blue Line is ready for essential improvements. A multi-year transformation is underway, bringing a better, smoother Blue Line experience. Renew the Blue will preserve and protect a critical piece of our infrastructure investment, helping it remain a safe, reliable, and affordable transit option for many years to come. Learn more about Renew the Blue at metrotransit.org/renew-the-blue.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas offers an affordable 2-year associate degree with a seamless path to a bachelor's. Located in downtown Minneapolis, students receive free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaching, tutoring, a Metro Transit pass, mentorship, and paid internships, all at Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College. Your journey to success starts here.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
Hi, I'm Tiergan. And I'm Hadley. We're two of the very first listeners, and we're still listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Native Roots Radio. Hey, just want to give a quick shout out to Wendy and all the people that supported her on this journey to help save all these beagles in Wisconsin. A big get those 2,000 beagles out of there, out of this, terrible situation. A power to her. And again, if you still want to, support Wendy and all the things that she's doing and all the things that she bought for this great action, please, it's at Venmo Wendy-Pilot. So again, a big peeny and thank you everyone that supported Wendy, and really appreciate what everybody's doing. It's just been a blessing, and I really appreciate Wendy doing what she's doing. It's just a really huge thing. And again, prayers up and smoke up, and appreciate it. Hey, we're back with Bob Blake from Red Lake, Solar Bear with the Solar News. Bob, a lot of distressing things going on, here, and next thing we have to really keep our eyes on is this voter suppression law that they're trying to pass. We just have to really talk about it and be aware of this. So our listeners, that most people don't have time like I have when it comes to, paying attention to what's going on. They're working. Sometimes they're working 2 jobs, raising a family. And so we're blessed to have you talk about these things, Bob.
Yeah, absolutely, Robert. And, to that point, I mean, I think what's really happening too, is, the Republicans and this administration, this president, see the writing on the wall. They see a blue wave coming. And, this president also knows that if the Democrats do win, that there will be impeachment proceedings. And, I don't think it's a far coincidence that this president has and this the defense secretary Hegseth has upped the age to join the military.
A draft.
And starting a draft now. And this is I because I think they know that they're going to go to jail, and that the War Powers Act, he can stop the voting. And so, this is some serious stuff that's happening, everybody, right now, that's going on in our country right now. And like you said, Robert, folks just don't have the time to pay attention. And I think this is what happened a lot in Germany too, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's just, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And it's really like, I read somewhere, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, Bob, but that 80-year cycle, we're in that fascist 80-year cycle again. And it's amazing. And one of the things that that we've talked about here is that this country's always been racist from our own history on, and now it's just all these people are coming out of the woodwork and really speaking their true thoughts, and it's frightening in one way, but it's also, as Native Americans, we know all about this.
Well, yeah, and I think what's also very disturbing is that other countries that want to do our country ill harm, right? Like Russia, and other countries, they are financing our politicians and our different PACs that are out there, right? And they are uh, contributing to these podcast bros and to all this media, and that's how they're spreading out this disinformation. And that's what a lot of Americans don't understand right now, is that this is being perpetrated by a foreign government, a foreign entity that wants to do America harm. And our biggest strength has always been our diversity, but there is that one part of the media manipulation that these foreign governments are doing is they are taking our greatest asset, our diversity, and they're using it actually against us now. And so that's one of the things, Robert, that I hope that America can kind of come to grips with, is the fact that we have manipulation by foreign governments in our media, and our politicians are being paid off by these foreign governments too. And so that's why it's all the more important that we get rid of Citizens United, that we take this back to the people, so corporations are not just running this government. And that's why this is really important, that we vote in, and we vote these folks out right now, and we take action against this administration.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got to keep talking about it. And that's what's great about having you on and talking about these things. Would like to switch gears just a little bit. And do you have any updates with the solar news? There's still good things happening out there. I still see, I walk my neighborhood and I still see solar panels being put up and things like that. So, I mean, there are still things happening.
Well, I think one of the things that's amazingly happening is this whole thing with the Strait of Hormuz in the Middle East, and the impending fuel crisis that we're going to have. And I think that's really making people rethink their decisions, because as the sun travels the 93 billion miles it comes from the sun to the earth, it doesn't have to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And people realize that we don't have to go to war over solar energy and electric vehicles.
Well, and I know you've reported over the years that China is really bad at fossil fuels, but they've also been doing a lot of renewable stuff, and they're not being affected half as bad as they would have been maybe a few years ago.
Right. And that's one thing too. And what China understands is that cheap energy is world leadership, equals world leadership. That was one thing that the United States understood, when we were popping all those oil cap wells in Texas, right?
Right.
That when you have cheap energy, you can have world leadership. That equals world leadership. So that's what China is really understanding, and that's why they're doubling down on this right now. And that's why we're going to be taking our cues, unfortunately, from a communist country. But I'll tell you what, Robert, I got to sit with some folks from China a couple of months ago. I told you the story, and they're living in the future. Honestly, they are living in the future over there.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we got a minute left here. You want to jump in? The Twins have been doing better than anticipated.
Yep, the Twins are doing amazing. They are really hot. They're leading the division. The Minnesota Timberwolves are going to start their playoff run on Saturday.
Woo-hoo.
So is the Minnesota Wild. Are going to start their playoff run on Saturday. And I believe that the Minnesota Lynx just drafted their guard for the future. So I see some good things here happening in Minnesota sports, and I think that we're going to be set here for the next couple of years, Robert.
Yeah, well, let's keep the Twins going there. Pitching wins you World Series, hitting wins you games. So let's keep some of these young guns we have pitching for the Twins are really come through, and that's really good to hear because it seems like we've always kind of had the hitting.
Yeah, and you know what it looks like too, Robert? They're having fun. That's the most
Yes.
important thing. They're having fun. And so that's what's really exciting to watch right now is watching those guys just have fun out there and play ball, and that's the way it should be.
Absolutely. Hey, so people want to get a hold of you or see what your good work is. What's your websites?
solarbear.earth, nativesun.org, and that's the Solar Bear with the Solar News.
Excellent. Hey, if you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance from Chief Plenty Coops, the ground on which we stand on. It's sacred ground. It's the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group. We're still